Welcome to the Community Convener, the official podcast of Henry County Chamber of Commerce. My name is Joseph Henning. I'm your president and CEO for the Chamber, and I'm also your host for this podcast. Welcome to our 11th episode. This podcast is all about bringing you the people, programs, and progress, driving business growth and community connections right here in Henry County. And on this packed episode, we have an entrepreneurial competition for high school students called Flex. We're spotlighting some of our incredible members and volunteers. And we have a list of can't miss upcoming events. So grab a coffee and let's dive in. Well, welcome back to this episode's Catalytic Conversation, and we're excited to be sharing information on the Georgia Flex program. So Hal, welcome to the conversation today.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about your background, if you would.
Well, I was in business. I was an entrepreneur for 26 years. Worked in the cell phone industry for a couple of major cell phone companies, and then I started my own company. Probably 16 of those 26 years, I owned my own company until we sold our company back in 2019. I immediately went back to work with the school system, which was kind of strange, but going from the business world to school system life was a little different, but it was a very rewarding time, and we got a lot of stuff accomplished. And one of the things was the Flex competition.
Well, yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. I love the Flex name. What is Flex? What does that mean and the background?
Well, Flex stands for Foundational Leadership and Entrepreneur Experience.
Okay.
And we intentionally spelled experience wrong because we needed an X.
I love that. Tell us, if you could, briefly. I believe there are, at the local level, there are 3 stages, 3 phases, 3 rounds.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. Could you walk us through that a bit, please?
Okay. So round 1 is basically to turn in your business plan. Let us know you're interested. The first thing you do is who's involved. Raise your hand if you're in, and then we find out who's in, and then we have a business plan workshop. And we give them a template on how to do a business plan and give them some guidance. And the growth from the beginning to the end is just phenomenal. That's why we do Flex. But round 1 is basically judged, and they get the top 10 business plans. Round 2 consists of those top 10 operate for about 2 months, and they run their business. That's where the mentors and everybody come in to help them out. And that's where the majority of the workshops happen. And like I said, you got 2.5 months to run your business. And then you get to the round 2 judging, you bring in a panel of judges, and it's really a Shark Tank style, and it's private. It's typically just the judges, the students, and their mentors, and that's it. But they go from the top 10, and they narrow it down to the top 3, and then that's who goes to round 3. Round 3, they operate for probably another month, maybe a little more, depending on when your community does the finals. That's where the mentors really turn up the heat on the kids and try to make sure everything is polished, because at this point, everybody's going to make some money. It gets kind of hectic. That's probably my favorite part is round 3, because the community is invited. You bring everybody in, friends and family, and a lot of times the school will live stream. Number 1 goes on to the state Flex finals and competes for $10,000 investment in their company. So it gets me fired up just talking about it.
Tell us then, how did the Flex program start as you launched this through?
Well, the Flex competition was an idea of our executive director, Melissa Dark. It was kind of the perfect situation at the time. Melissa was applying to be the president and CEO of the Fitzgerald-Ben Hill County Chamber of Commerce. I was serving as the CEO of Fitzgerald High School, College, and Career Academy, but I was also on the board of the Chamber of Commerce. I was the chair of the Chamber board. And so I was in on the interview with Melissa. And one of the questions our panel asked was, what kind of ideas do you have? What are some of the things you would like to bring to this position? And one of the things she said was, and I don't even know she knew I was the CEO of the College and Career Academy, but she said, I would like to start an entrepreneur contest with the local high school. Well, I fell out of my chair. And I'm like, this is the greatest idea I've ever heard. So fast forward, we ended up hiring Melissa. 6 months in, she and I are talking, and I was like, let's hash out this idea you had.
Mm-hmm.
And she shared, and she had it, pretty much figured out what the vision was. but she shared it. We brought in Jason Dunn, who's our economic development director. So you'll hear me say this, probably again today. We had the school system, you had the local chamber and development authority, and we all worked together and brought the community in. So we did a contest, and we made a ton of mistakes the first year. We fixed them the second year.
Yeah.
And we made some more mistakes, some different mistakes. But one thing that stood true was as we started sharing our successes for the first 2 years, people around the state were taking notice, and they really tell us how you did this. This is a great idea. We should try this in our town. Well, between me going to all the school system events, and Jason going to the economic development events, and Melissa going to the chamber events, what you're supposed to do is share your successes at those things. And that's what we were doing. We all came back and said, we should package this. And we made some really good contacts. We've got support of the Georgia Chamber. We've got support from Georgia Grown and Commissioner Tyler Harper, Ag Commissioner, and made a lot of good contacts. And that's pretty much how Georgia Flex was created. I think we're going into our 6th year, and we've got 20 schools committed. And
Wonderful.
We've grown slowly, intentionally, because you don't want to grow too fast. But we got 20 schools this year.
Good. Congratulations on that. Hal, what makes this program, this Flex program, such a powerful opportunity for communities like Henry County and across the state?
Well, it's truly a community project. It brings the community together. First off, you got to have a leadership team, and you got to have somebody who is in charge of the program. You don't want it to be the school system, because the school system has got enough on their plate. The last thing you want to do is give a teacher a lot more of a job, because, I learned that quickly when I worked in the school system. So it's got to be run through an outside organization, but obviously you have to have the school system on board. You've got to have the community on board. And you've got to have, like I said, the chamber or development authority. If you're in the community and you're part of Flex, you help the students decide what kind of business they're in, what kind of interests they have or hobbies. That's always a good place to start when you decide the business. The leadership team also secures the funding for the program. We do a lot of workshops. In round 1, we do a business plan workshop, and that basically kicks everything off. So we have to do a workshop, and the leadership team and the community helps with that. Financial workshops are important. One of my favorite things is find a local bank. They'll host the workshop. And what I really like in a couple of communities I know, if you find a local bank that wants to be a part of it, host the workshop in your boardroom. That brings a lot of people, a lot of potential customers into your bank.
Absolutely.
And so you're helping kids, but you're also gaining customers. And that's a perfect, opportunity for a sponsorship as well. Customer service workshops, I pretty much say that's a must. Because kids need to know how to do customer service. Marketing is a must. You got to do that one, and a lot of times the kids are better at it than the older people with the marketing, with social media. But one of my favorite ones is the Dress for Success workshop. That's a really good one. And the most important out of all the stuff I've said about how the community can get involved is serve as a mentor.
Well, I was going to ask you that, Hal, because there's the great workshops, and yes, because we hear that across the board that we need to, no matter what age, we need to address some of these skill set areas, and those programs are taking care of that, and that's wonderful. I appreciate that. But what about, you talk to the high school students about their hobbies or their interests in that. What if they've never thought about being an entrepreneur? How does this program support them as they identify what this interest or hobby is and create a business model out of it? Are there opportunities for support through that?
That's where teachers come into play. It's really important because nobody knows these kids like the teachers and administrators that are with them every day. The teacher, a good example would be a teacher that has bought into the Flex idea, and they immediately will say, hey, I know little Johnny. He's really good at X. Hey, and the next time they see little Johnny, hey, what about if you got involved in this Flex program and you did, whatever interest or hobby that kid, and
Sure.
that teacher recognizes that kid. And so that's a good way to bring them along, just based on their interest and their hobbies. Parents who get involved or who hear about Flex and they got, my son or my daughter could do this. That's a good way to recruit students. The other good way to get students involved and wanting to do this is after you do it the first year, the success, the ones who went through it.
Do you have a couple of success stories from the last 5 or 6 years that you could share with us?
Man, yeah, I could sit here all day and talk about the success stories. If you've done any research at all on Flex and you've looked at, actually, she's right there. That's her right there. Chloe, the one with the big smile and the trophy.
Yeah.
That's Chloe Paul. She is the rock star. She won the second year we had it when it was still a local competition. You can ask her, her mom, her dad, and they will tell you that Flex altered her path. Literally. She received a full ride scholarship to Mercer, and that was not her original plan. And if you ask her family, they'll tell you that Flex was a big part of that. She's in their Mercer's entrepreneur program right now, and she's thriving. Actually, this is her cake mix.
Okay.
Her company's called Cake It with Chloe. She's got a gluten allergy, so she made cakes that she could eat, birthday cakes. And she started selling those. But as a student at Mercer, you can imagine how tough that is. Baking cakes and keeping your business going and being a student is pretty tough. So she did what any good entrepreneur would do, and she started creating cake mix.
Wow.
So she can package everything when she's not in class, and then she can run the business. She's got them in a lot of stores around South Georgia right now.
Wow, that is an amazing story.
Yeah, it's a good one. Hallie and Landon Bynum, H&L Marketing, that was one of the coolest. They were runner-up in the first year. They didn't even win. But those guys had a tremendous business. If you remember when you were in grade school and you had the fundraisers and you sold the wrapping paper or whatever it was, that was their business, except they did roasted peanuts with Hardy Farms.
Okay.
So they were a distributor. So if your local travel soccer team needed to do a fundraiser, that's what they did. They provided you with roasted peanuts. They took a cut. You got a cut, and they just packaged and delivered it. That was a pretty complex business.
That's interesting, yeah.
But they did it about as good as you could do it. I got a couple more. Michaela Whitehead from Macon. The downtown city of Macon got behind this kid like you would not believe. Michaela was not the best student. And a teacher, this goes back to your previous question, a teacher recognized that Michaela was struggling and said, "Hey, Michaela, I know that you have this side business that you like to do. Why don't you get involved in this Flex program?" And Michaela's in college now. And I don't know, I don't want to be dramatic, but I think Flex helped Kayla along to be able to make some decisions. You got Kayla Calloway from Valdosta. She made skincare products. She was the winner 2024 champion from Valdosta. And she made skin soaps. One of my favorites, Window Magic from Bibb County. It was 3 guys, 2 owners, and they hired somebody. And they've hired like multiple friends to work for them. They clean windows, and they were the runner-up in 2024. So I think it's important for me to say that I'm not talking about just the champions. I'm talking about kids that, there's kids that I won't even mention that didn't even make it to round 3 or didn't even make it to the finals that learned a lot from Flex. But the last one I want to mention is Addison Hillsman. He's the champion this past year. His company was Elite Diesel Performance. And you talk about impressive. There's no doubt in anybody's mind who saw his presentations that he will be a diesel mechanic for the rest of his life and he will be profitable. And I asked Addison, I was like, you didn't need Flex to have a profitable business. And he said, because obviously we didn't teach him how to be a diesel mechanic. He's going to graduate with his diesel mechanic certificate from the local technical college. And he said, no, but I'm a legitimate business now. I know I send out invoices. I've got a logo. I know who owes me money. I know where all my money's at now. I've got a marketing strategy now. And before he didn't have that.
I think that is a real key point to this is that last episode we talked to some interns about Generation Z and the misconceptions about that. And so I think that this is just yet another great opportunity to show that these kids, they're not slackers. They have ideas. And I think, as you said about the one individual that is now going to college, it kind of maybe changed a bit of her long-term plans. We're looking at this not just to support the small business community, the entrepreneurship in Henry County, but we know that not everybody's going to go to college. And so entrepreneurship is a valid career pathway for a lot of these individuals. And so they might have the skills, like you said, the diesel mechanic, but it's the business acumen and putting together the back office pieces that they might not have that experience. And so this program, working with the mentors and the businesses, is a great opportunity for them to figure out, I have this bucket full, but how do I get this done? And so we're looking forward to it. We're really excited.
Just to piggyback on what you're saying, I think it's important. There's no lack of ideas with these kids, but I think I agree with you where the mentors come into play is you can bring them down a little bit and sort of point them in the right direction and say, okay, you're not thinking about the financials as much as you should. So let's focus on that. And with your brilliant ideas, we can make something really special with this business, but you got to have that mentor in there and involved and helping. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It takes it from a hobby to a career and income. But I also think that it adds on that sustainability of their path. So
I want to tell you one more story that you're going to say, when I start, you're probably going to say you probably shouldn't tell this story, but we had a kid. I talk about Ward all the time. He had a business and two partners called Luxury Lawn Care. His company didn't make it to the top 3. And I asked him, I said, Ward, are you going to continue running your business? And he said, no, sir. I said, well, did you learn anything? He said, yes, sir. He said, I learned that I don't want to be a business owner. He said, I will be as good an employee as somebody needs me to be, but I'm not interested in being the boss. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. That is powerful because Ward learned as much, and what he learned was just as important as what Addison or Chloe or Michaela has learned. Ward has learned that he wants to be an employee. And that's huge because you don't want, 5 years from now, he thinks he wants to be an entrepreneur and he borrows $500,000.
Exactly.
When he walks out of that bank, he owes $500,000. But now, if you do it while you're in high school and figure that out,
absolutely,
you just didn't make it to round 3. That's the worst thing that could happen.
But he won in his mind, in
Yes.
his way, he won. So no,
Yep.
I think that's an amazing story. Well, one last question, Hal, before we let you go. If you had to describe this program in just one sentence to our parents, how would you do that?
Well, I thought about that because I'm asked that quite a bit, but I would say Flex gives students the opportunity, the skills, and the encouragement to start real businesses, making real money by selling real products and services, all while bringing your community together. I mean, that's pretty much encompasses Flex because, I've said it a couple times, the community has got to be involved. If you don't have community leaders involved and you don't have the school system and the local chamber or development authority or some form of that organization, probably don't need to do Flex because everybody's got to be pulling in the right direction.
Where can we direct our listeners to for more information on the program?
We've got a website. It's georgiaflex.org. You can go there. You can also go to YouTube if you want to see a lot of the commercials and a lot of our promo videos and just type in Georgia Flex. And there's a lot of powerful, important people involved in Flex. And I will say, you mentioned Penn. Penn is a big supporter of Flex, and we appreciate everything that they do.
Yeah. And I just want to I want to remind everybody how Georgia is spelled out and Flex is FLEX.org. But there's information there, and Trinity back at the Henry Chamber is working on the committee and getting our champions out there. So we are excited for this year. This is something that we've been looking around at, and this came through, and we're excited.
Man, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this and share about Flex.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot, and we'll talk soon, Hal. Thank you.
Thank you.
This week's episode highlights Kaiser Permanente, our elite member of the week. Inclusive economic growth is critical to both individual and community health. When there is a lack of economic opportunity in communities, the prospects for upward social mobility are diminished, often resulting in poorer health and higher mortality rates for people living in those communities. By contrast, economic growth and opportunity provides individuals with jobs, income, a sense of purpose, and opportunities to improve their economic circumstances over time. As a large, influential institution in our community, Kaiser Permanente recognizes that the way they do business can support economic opportunity in local communities by being intentional about how they hire, purchase, build facilities, and partner with communities. Here are some of the ways that they're helping revitalize and grow our communities right here in Georgia and strengthening economic opportunity by providing good jobs to individuals facing barriers to employment through high-impact hiring and workforce pipeline efforts, by purchasing goods and services from local minority and women-owned businesses and encouraging good employment practices by their vendor partners. And finally, by partnering with community organizations to grow local business capacity, increase access to good jobs, and support stable, quality, affordable housing. This week, we salute Kaiser Permanente, our elite sponsor of the week. Well, welcome back to Voices of the Chamber, and I am excited today to introduce you all to Sydney Kate Lewis. SK is part of our tourism department, and SK, welcome. Tell us a little bit about your role with the tourism.
Yeah, so I'm the marketing coordinator. I do all the social media, all the visitor newsletter, all the website updates, all the marketing things.
You've been here, what, 6 months?
March 10th.
March 10th, so 4, okay. But you fit in so well and you've taken off and done so many things in that time, it feels a little bit longer. What were some of the highlights of the first 4 or 5 months?
Well, I got to do a lot of creative stuff that I've never got to do before. We did the squirrel scavenger hunt because we have the bushy tail art trail. So we came up with I came up with the idea, and Laura let me execute, of putting little t-shirts with the Visit Henry logo on the squirrel and hiding them around the county. And if you found them, you got to enter to win some gift cards.
Okay.
And yeah, that was really fun.
Okay, so that's over.
That's
over. Okay, and a good response from the community on that?
Yes, it was for the National Tourism Week, so that was kind of our way of celebrating.
Wonderful. That sounds fun. What other fun projects have you tackled?
Well, a lot of social media posts has been really fun because I get to just, one of my favorite ones was we did the I Spy the Van. I took a little picture of the van and hid it on different, photos we already have of different, attractions and stuff. So just coming up with random creative things that get people involved, that's a lot of fun.
Good. And you had said that part of your role is to manage the events calendar. And
Yes.
That has got to be a pretty large lift with all of the activity in that we have in Henry.
Yeah, there's never a dull moment in Henry. I learned that very fast. I'm constantly updating it, and I do a weekly weekend happenings post every weekend. So so if you don't see the events calendar every week, you can at least see the highlights. There is constantly something happening.
So if somebody's listening and they want to follow your weekend highlights, where do they find those?
They're on Instagram and Facebook every Friday.
And that's Visit Henry County, Georgia.
It's Visit Henry Co.GA.
Okay. All right. So Visit Henry C-O-G-A.
Mm-hmm.
Koga. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Because it's always kind of exciting. I like when I see them because I'm like, oh, yeah, that looks like fun. Yeah. I think roughly around 2021, somewhere in there, we rebranded the tourism in that. And I know with the new team and that you've been responsible for much of that new rebranding. Yeah. What's that like to take on that project and have to look at how to rebrand some of that, the newsletters and websites and posts and things like that? How's that been?
It's been fun because it's on one hand, you have guidelines kind of, but you get to be creative within the guidelines. Yeah. So you get to stretch them while still remaining within them. So it's a lot of fun of just figuring out a way to creatively execute what's already been established.
Yeah. You mentioned creativity and we've seen it at work and we've seen some great products of yours in that. Tell us, you got really creative around, not Groundhog Day, April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us, Laura had talked a little bit about that when she was in a couple of episodes ago, but tell us about your take with that whole forest of lobster.
Well, it was funny because the idea was already there. The whole background of Google Translation going wrong on the website. And then when Laura told me about it, I was trying to come up with an April Fool's Day post because I have so many stories from my childhood of my parents running with it. So I was like, we have to do something. And I was like, this is perfect. Let's just do it. And then it just kind of kept tumbleweeding.
Yes.
Because it started off with just like a lobster forest. And the next thing I know, I opened, was it Gemini AI, and got it to generate images of a Highland cow hanging out in a lobster forest. And then now it's like a 4-book series.
Yeah.
And it's so whole thing.
Do y'all have aspirations of publishing it, or at least putting it up on the website as PDFs that people can look at? Or
We are still trying to figure out what we're going to do with it. Something is going to be done.
Sure.
But we want to do it right. So we're still plotting and strategizing as to how to do that.
I think that, if we're successful with it, and we can get enough money, we might be able to buy our own Highland cow.
I would love that.
See, I know that's a big hitter.
I would love that.
So, SK, give us a little bit on your background, where you're from, what you've done before, why you think Henry is a great place to be.
So I graduated from UGA in December 2020 with an English degree. I'm the only graduating class without a graduation because of COVID. So only a little bitter about that still. And it's been almost 5 years. But I'm from Fayette County. I've been there since I was 7 and whatnot. And then I was a marketing coordinator for a while. Still not quite sure how an English major became a marketing coordinator, but did that for a tech company. And then I did some freelance writing for like magazines, newspapers, stuff like that for a while. And then I wanted something more stable because freelance is very unstable.
Difficult, yeah.
And I just found here and took a chance, took a shot, and it worked out. And it's amazing.
I'm glad you're here, because that is one of the things I appreciate. You've got the creative side, but you've got the text, rhetoric, English composition side. So that's always a good mix. How is that connect between that English degree and what you're doing now? And how are you able to see that creative side of it while keeping that whole structure?
Yeah. Well, I get to do the blogs too. So there's a lot. So like that comes in handy for the blogs and for like different marketing collateral and stuff, because I have trained Laura into letting me use the Oxford comma because she hates the Oxford comma. But yeah, and like my writing background has also come in handy for the website too, just rewording and trying to make things clear, because I learned a long time ago how to tailor towards audiences, it's like I like writing pretty things, but taking the pretty things and making them what people want to read.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm trying to say.
I think to the brevity and conciseness from the rhetoric and composition. And yes, like I remember I've got the dual degree too with an English bachelor's that was like, you got to fill it. But only the professor wanted to read it. Nobody else wants to read it.
Yeah.
So, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. So as we wrap up, SK, tell us, you don't have to give away any trade secrets, anything that you guys are working on specifically, but what can we look forward to in the next 6 months or so coming out of the tourism department?
I guess just a continuation of what we're doing now, in the sense of more creativity to bring people in, to bring more awareness that there's always something happening. There's never a dull moment. Like even random stuff, like there's a hot air balloon festival in September. Like just continuing to see the crazy things that are going to happen. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm so glad you're on board. I think we've got a great team in the tourism side. We've got a great team in the building overall. So I am very happy to count you as part of that team. So welcome aboard.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. And we'll be right back.
Hey guys, Morel McCleary here with Ramtech PC Solutions. We provide IT solutions for businesses that need our services. We focus on IT help desk, cybersecurity, and IT compliance. If you guys ever need assistance or ever have a wonder of if I'm doing my IT right, is my IT guy doing what he's supposed to do, give us a call. Let us help you with that.
And now for your list of upcoming events. On July 23rd, Visibility is Profitability, Social Media Strategies for Business Growth. We will be meeting from 11:30 until 1 in the Hudgens Room, and you can learn practical tools to boost your online presence and attract the right audience. Because if they can't see you, they can't buy from you. Then on July 31st, Command the Room, Elevating Communication and Magnetic Networking from 9 to 11. Join Cornelius Gamble for a high-impact workshop where you'll learn how to speak with confidence, network with purpose, and lead every conversation. August 5th, we have our headshot mini sessions with Dryden House Photography from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. by appointment. Do you need a fresh headshot? For just $100, join for a 10-minute session, 2 digital images, online gallery access, and print release provided by Dryden House Photography. On August 12th, Coffee and Collaboration features business insurance services. From 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., what would happen to your business if life threw a curveball? Join us as Ninotchka Freeman, managing broker at McClammy Freeman Insurance Services, breaks down practical, no-fluff strategies to safeguard your business and your future. On August 12th from 10 to 11:30 a.m., Chase Bank Small Business Workshop Series features Navigating Your Cash Flow. Understand the flow behind your finances. Learn how to manage your money with intention and clarity to fuel growth. On August 14th, the Bridge to Business is back at Henry County from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Don't miss this chance to connect one-on-one with experts in legal, finance, and business strategy. Plus, explore AI productivity tools from the Better Business Bureau. On August 26th, from 11:30 a.m. until 1, Future-Proofing Your Business, a comprehensive guide to navigating challenging times. In a world of constant uncertainty, learn how to anticipate and prepare for unseen events, understand future-proofing, identify 7 key strategies, integrate AI, and implement actionable steps. On August 28th, Business After Hours at Georgia Endovascular and Georgia Fibroid, 5:30 to 7 p.m. Wrap up your day with great food, meaningful connections, and a celebration of Georgia Endovascular's continued impact in our community. This week's Connecting Point is bringing you highlights from the latest small business update by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. In the session, Neil Bradley, Executive Vice President and Chief Policy Officer, unpacks the newly signed One Big Beautiful Bill Act, or OBBB, and its potential impact on small businesses. Key provisions from the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Acts now are made permanent. This includes a 20% qualified business income deduction for LLCs and S-Corp, 100% bonus depreciation for new capital investments, immediate R&D expensing, and an increased SALT deduction cap from $10,000 to $40,000. The OBBB also introduces or expands several employer tax credits, including a permanent paid leave tax credit, even in states with mandatory leave, up to 50% tax credit for on-site or off-site childcare, and up to $5,250 in tax-free contributions toward employees' student loan repayment. Looking ahead, there are still challenges to be aware of, including new country-specific and product-specific tariffs scheduled to take effect on August 1st, impacting a wide range of goods, including up to 50% on EVs, semiconductors, steel, aluminum, and pharmaceuticals, as well as changes to work authorization policies, which may affect workforce availability in industries like hospitality, agriculture, and construction. For the full breakdown, watch the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's Small Business Update at uschamber.com. Welcome to this episode's Member Minute, where we highlight exciting news, milestones, and upcoming ribbon cuttings across our Chamber community. On August 14th, Creekside Christian Academy and Our World School invite you to the 2025 Georgia Goals Summit in our Hudgens Room. This must-attend event for Georgia's private schools goes beyond your average meeting. It's a powerful opportunity to learn, collaborate, and network with education leaders shaping the future of learning in our state. Celebrate with us at our upcoming ribbon cuttings on July 23rd at 11 a.m. for Nail Anatomy, LLC in Morrow. On July 29th at 11 a.m. for Village Medical of Locust Grove. On July 31st at 11 a.m. for Village Medical of McDonough. Join us August 6th at 11 a.m. for DNA Med Services, LLC. And on August 15th at 3 p.m. for Imagine the View Preparatory, Inc. Are you new to the Chamber? Our next new member orientation is happening on August 19th. Join us to meet the team, connect with fellow members, and learn how to get the most out of your membership.
Hey guys, I'm Morel McCreary with Ramtech PC Solutions. Have you ever wondered if your business is compliant? Have you ever wondered if your current IT guy is doing what he says he's going to do for your business? If you have questions like that, don't hesitate. Please call me at 678-999-2172, and we can check and make sure that you have the support, compliance, and cybersecurity that you need.
If you are interested in discussing membership benefits or sponsorship opportunities, please connect with our team at 770-957-5786 or at henrycounty.com. And join us next week for more member and community news and to hear from Heather Ross and her experience with leadership and culture in the healthcare industry. Until next time, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep growing with us at the Henry County Chamber.